everyone, Jeff Smith here from HigherTrustMarketing.com and InfoMarketerZone.com. Couple of minutes today. I wanted to touch on a topic. I had someone ask me recently, I like to write, or I think I'd like to make a living writing, right? And they said, how do I do that? What's the best ways to make money with my sort of passion for writing online? And do I have to be sort of a published author or an expert? So I love this question because there are literally so many ways to actually put your craft to work if your passion is writing, or even if you get into a pattern where you can speak, answer questions basically, and answer questions in a speaking way, and then transcribe those into writing. That's another great way to actually create content online. So let's go through a number of ways where people are generating, are actually creating a living online, either part-time, full-time, or actually taking this business much, much larger. And so the first way is really going on to a lot of the freelancing sites and getting just writing projects, right? So if you're looking for an extra $50, $100 here and there a month, and you've got the ability to write, and you just want to get things rolling and maybe start a few relationships online and get the idea down of how to write for people online that have different projects, go up to Elance, go up to Fiverr, go up to vworker.com, used to be Rent-A-Coder. Lots of those sites are project-oriented sites where you get to bid on projects, and people will want different types of writing. They'll want blog posts written, they'll want articles written, they'll want reports written, they'll want ebooks written, those sorts of things, right? So it's project by project basis. You start to build a reputation, you start to get some experience. It is a project basis though, so you have to decide for yourself, is that the type of business I want to do long term, where you're kind of chasing each project? You know, it's a good way to get started, but you know, from my perspective, there are better ways to put your craft to use and we'll get into those in just a minute. So the second way is where you want to get into more of a formal ghostwriting role, right? So there are a lot of people online that have full-time blogs or that have written information products, reports or ebooks, or more involved training manuals where they have the idea and they have the market, they have the marketing chops, but they don't really have either the time, the energy, the passion to be able to put all that they know into a product to sell online. And so in that case, they're looking for a ghostwriter. They're looking for somebody that can do it behind the scenes, and they'll pay usually pretty well for that service. Now again, other than a few top ghostwriters in the industry where they work on sort of a royalty basis, you're going to be doing this on a project by project basis. And so again, it means there's a couple of, the upside is you can get $1,000, $2,000 for a project, or slightly less depending on the type of project. You can actually get on ongoing monthly contracts. It's great that way. But the downside is you still got to work with people, and not everyone is easy to work with, right? So each one of these is a partnership. Some of them work better than others. There is sort of the fact that these are projects again, so you've got to do these one-off, and you got to chase down the next one after you finish one, and you never know if the next one's actually going to be there or the size of the project. So there's a little bit of uncertainty there. So if you're paying bills based on this, or you're trying to build a reliable, say, 50, 60, or 100K a year, then probably ghostwriting and or freelance writing is not, the optimal way to do that. So what's another way? Well, a third way is you develop content via what's called PLR. That's private label rights, and that's basically you know that any given market has a whole lot of people that are operating. Here you want to chase busy markets, the weight loss market, the biz op market, the personal development market, the financial analysis markets. Any market where there's a ton of competition, those guys are always looking for content that they can give to their customers or resell to their customers that they can brand as their own. And really, if you think ghostwriting is really just a sort of a one-on-one contract with a customer that you have, that you write a product for, PLR is sort of broadening that scope and seeing that, I'm going to sell 200 licenses to this report, and people buy that license, and then they get to use it in any way they want. So that's basically they can take that content, they can give it away for free. They can post it to a blog. They can turn it into an ebook that they put their name on. You know, those sorts of things. So that's what private label rights is. A little bit a tough business again. It's nice in the sense that you don't have to work on a project-by-project basis, so you're starting to leverage your effort. But at the same time, you're still having to deal with a limited number of customers. So to make PLR really worth it, you need to limit it to 200, 300, 500 licenses. That sort of limits, it puts a ceiling on what you can get for that content. Okay? Now, the fourth option is that you actually, you know, these are all sort of behind the scenes models. The fourth option is that you take center stage. You come to the front and you create the information product, and you come up with the idea, you create the product, and you create the marketing campaign around it. Now, you can partner with people to create that marketing campaign, right? So over at infomarketerzone.com, for example, we help people. A lot of these people are either aspiring or existing writers that want to come to the forefront. They want to start branding themselves. They want to leverage, you know, their writing capabilities and continue to sell that for years to come. And I often give this example. You know, our first ebook, when we came out with the first of 12, came out in 2001, which is, you know, over 10 years ago now. And with annual updates, and those updates literally have taken me less than a day to do each year, that book has continued to sell enough to make us a full-time income. And that was really from an effort of 3 to 4 weeks back in 2001. And that just gives you a sense of the power of leverage. You know, when you have your own product and you own the rights to it, and you're in a market that has a sweet spot and some longevity to it, and that you can continue to sell that, you know, you can leverage a few weeks of work over years of selling it. And some of these can sell, you know, dozens to hundreds of copies per month and continue to sell that on an ongoing basis. And as long as they're self-published, you're making anywhere from 60 to 100% of the profits, right? 60% in the case where you give away some partnership revenue. So all very interesting stuff. This is going to the forefront allows you so many more opportunities to be able to leverage your work and continue to sell it ongoing. So there's some ideas for you if you want to write for a living. Lots and lots of opportunity. You know, it's really wide open space. Head over to infomarketerzone.com. It'll give you some more details on how you can kind of go to the forefront and leverage some of those opportunities. But it will also help you market your services in the case where you want to do the back end, the freelancing PLR work. I hope that was useful. If you have any questions, post them underneath this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.